On First at 9 this Thursday, the 17th of July 2025. Unfaithful. Former President Ranil Wickremesinghe says the United States is breaching its agreement with Sri Lanka on external debt restructuring by imposing tariffs. Meanwhile, the Deputy Minister of Economic Development claims that the US is ready to offer 0% tariffs on selected Sri Lankan exports. False claims. Prime Minister firmly denies claims of history and aesthetic subjects being removed from the school curriculum. Calls for an end to the politicization of education. Indicted. Former Minister Keheliya Rambukwala and family served indictment papers over the unlawful acquisition of assets valued at over 97 million rupees.
Enrolling now for the June 2025 intake and complete your degree in 2 years.
Men are the tools. Balyak.
From Derana, this is Derana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening, you're joining First at 9 on Sri Lanka's most trusted news source, Derana. I'm Tarindu Mahendra, joining you live with the latest in Sri Lanka and around the world. In your top story this evening, former President Ranil Wickremesinghe, commenting on the new reciprocal tariffs, said the United States, as a member of the official creditor committee involved in Sri Lanka's external debt restructuring agreements, is breaching the pact by imposing tariffs on Sri Lanka. He made this statement during the launch of the book Policy Challenges of Globalization in Sri Lanka by Dr. Sarath Rajapatirana today. The former president also noted that Sri Lanka has historically had a negative view of trade, which has adversely impacted the country's growth and caused Sri Lanka to fall behind while other nations have developed by embracing globalization.
In this level of globalization, how do you see the success rate or failure rate of it, and what would be the repercussions for the rest of the world and how it would unfold?
I think what Trump is doing is trying to protect the dollar. In the process, trying to reduce China's growth. That means to that extent, China can't take on. The total markets are going to develop in our part of the world. If you look at it, a new scenario can emerge. Now, if they sort of further activate the RCEP, which has all of East Asia plus Australia and ASEAN, can they then come to fix a date by which many of the agreements are over? In any case, the Middle East is tariff-free. So you can see a big economic zone come out of that, because US only controls 25% of the global economy. These people together can take on more.
Actually, we are facing challenges because of the real uncertainty created by Trump. And so otherwise, the trade that we would have had without him would have been quite different from what is happening. It's going to be a very uncertain world. That is my difficulty, is that, business people can't operate. They don't know what will happen next. And so I think my reading is that this will also pass. So it's not going to be a very long-term thing that is what he's trying to do.
Has politics in Sri Lanka changed with regard to the market system and embracing globalization?
Politics in Sri Lanka has not changed. All the political parties generally duck the question, and they go to elections on what you're against, not what you're for. At the last election, we had an agreement with the IMF, with the official creditors committee, and with the bondholders. One party said we will renegotiate this with the IMF. Other party said we are going to make amendments to this. Unless Sri Lanka politics change, where you can take an issue and say this is what you have to do, running on negative campaigns are not going to work.
Do you still think that trade is looked at negatively in Sri Lanka?
From what I can see, trade is being looked negatively. If you look at the agreements we had with India on trade, all have not been implemented. Yeah. So we have this bias against trade, partly by the private sector, who don't want them to come in so that their own spheres of profit making get affected, especially among the left and others. It's surprising. Though China changed and Vietnam changed, our left parties, some of them thinkers, didn't change. We are not getting anywhere now. We have this main issue of how to deal with the US. We are still grappling with it. We have got 30%. You can't survive with 30%. They are going to ask for less. I hope they succeed. Now you have to realize one thing. You have never told the US. US is a member of the OCC. And US has signed on to the EFF. and the time limits, which means they must help us now. Otherwise, they are in breach of the agreement. They are preventing from us to repay the bondholders, and we must now tell the IMF, tell the bondholders to go to US and collect the money.
Deputy Minister of Economic Development Professor Anil Jayanta says the United States has agreed in principle to impose 0% tariffs on selected goods imported from Sri Lanka, although no final decision has been made yet. Speaking on Ada Derana's Big Focus program, he added that Sri Lanka is also reviewing US imports that could potentially receive 0% tariffs.
Due
to the disclosure exclusivity we observe in diplomacy, the most appropriate way to release information is only after reaching a final agreement. The US has sent us a list of 1,161 goods imported from Sri Lanka. Of these, 41 are agricultural products. The list also includes garments, apparel and various other items. They have agreed to offer zero tariffs on 70 to 80% of these 1,161 goods. Since these agreements have not yet been finalized, we are not naming the items individually at this stage. On our side, we are also in discussions about the goods on which we can offer zero tariffs for imports from the US. In terms of imports, since we import around $300 million worth of goods from the US, the tariff changes on US goods would only range from 0 to 20%. Therefore, if we reduce tariffs on some of these goods, the impact on state revenue would be minimal.
Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuriya urges an end to the politicisation of education. Addressing criticism levelled against the new education reforms, the Premier asserted that there is no truth to the claims that history and aesthetic subjects have been removed from the curriculum. The government recently announced several education reforms set to take effect next year, including decreasing the number of school periods from 8 to 7 and increasing the duration of a period from 45 to 50 minutes. Many teacher principal associations and trade unions objected to the new reforms, chief among them being the supposed decision to remove history and aesthetic subjects from the curriculum. Against this backdrop, a special discussion was held at the Western Provincial Council auditorium early today to raise awareness among officials regarding the new education reforms, where Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuriya addressed these concerns.
The reason why we formulated these reforms is to prevent children from being hemmed into a single field. One of the key points we discussed was the importance of history and aesthetic subjects. Even students planning to pursue STEM subjects, management or the skills sector will be required to take these two subjects as electives. Unfortunately, there have been attempts to spread misinformation claiming that history and aesthetic subjects have been removed from the curriculum. It is clear that some parties are trying to sabotage this initiative by promoting misleading narratives. This is very unacceptable. Let's engage in politics, but let us not bring education or the lives of children into it. Spreading falsehoods about a matter of national importance is highly irresponsible. To be clear, we have not removed history or aesthetics.
Meanwhile, representatives of the TikTok social media platform met with Secretary to the Prime Minister Pradeep Saputantri yesterday at the Prime Minister's office. The discussions focused on how TikTok can be used as a digital tool to expand economic opportunities and for educational purposes going beyond entertainment. TikTok representatives highlighted the importance of incorporating necessary amendments to regulations, research and curricula to provide knowledge about digital education, as well as the importance of using digital technology responsibly and creating economic opportunities through the platform.
Crunchy goodness for hunger on the go.
Yadia, ලොව වැඩියෙන්ම අලෙවි වන ඉලෙක්ට්‍රික් ස්කූටරය Avance Auto වෙතින්.
Chief Custodian of the Temple of the Sacred Tooth Relic, Pradeep Nilangadala, raises concern that the dwindling supply of tame tuskers and elephants puts the longevity of the Dalada Perahara at jeopardy. To address the issue, he proposed the establishment of an institution to breed tame elephants and tuskers.
The Dalada Perahara, also known as the Kandiasala Perahara, is a religious and cultural procession held annually in the months of July and August. This historic event is held to pay homage to the sacred tooth relic of the Buddha, which is enshrined at the Temple of the Sacred Tooth Relic. This year, the festivities are scheduled to commence on the 25th of July with the Kapsituima ceremony. Subsequently, the Kumbal Perahera and Randoli Perahera are scheduled to take place over 10 days, starting from July 30th. The Temple of the Sacred Tooth Relic convened a special media briefing yesterday, where Chief Custodian of the temple, Pradeep Nilangadala, raised concern over the shortage of tame elephants and tuskers for the procession.
At the moment, we have been provided with all necessary infrastructure for the procession, especially security, sanitary facilities, transportation and all other aspects of support under the patronage of Divisional Secretary. This issue has always existed and there must be both short-term and long-term solutions. This issue surfaces during the Perahera season. However, certain narratives on social media and from some environmentalists have created a false perception regarding the Perahera culture and Mahouts, alleging that tame tuskers and elephants are abused. Over time, if we lack proper resources and if tame elephants and tuskers are no longer bred, these animals will disappear. That is why we keep reiterating that the public must think about this positively in order to protect our culture. We are not requesting animals from the wild, obviously. In Pinnavala, there are several parks that house tame elephants. Many of these elephants are not used for breeding and have become a burden to the government. In some cases, there are elephants and tuskers that cannot be cared for by just 1 or 2 Mahouts. We are requesting that such elephants and tuskers be given to us at least for a short period of time. Our next request is to establish an institution for breeding elephants and tuskers to provide fertile female elephants to begin the reproduction process. These elephants can then be given to owners of tame elephants or religious places. Therefore, we believe this is a fair request.
Former Minister Keheliya Rambukwala, his wife, 3 daughters and son-in-law were served indictment papers today over charges of unlawfully acquiring assets valued at over 97 million rupees. The defendants were served the indictments under 43 charges under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act when the matter was taken up before Colombo High Court Judge Lanka Jayaratna. The Bribery Commission had previously launched an investigation against the defendants who were arrested and produced before the Colombo Chief Magistrates Court on the 18th of last month but later released on bail. Subsequently, on the 26th of June, indictments were filed against them before the Colombo High Court. During today's proceedings, the High Court judge ordered the defendants to be released on a cash bail of 50,000 rupees and 2 surety bails of 1 million rupees each. The judge also imposed a foreign travel ban on the defendants and ordered them to surrender their passports to the court. The pre-trial conference is scheduled for August 5th. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney has expressed confidence in Sri Lankan-born Public Safety Minister Gary Anandasangare, despite a report that Anandasangare, prior to becoming a minister, wrote letters supporting the immigration application of Senthuran Selvankumaran, a Sri Lankan man barred from Canada due to alleged affiliation with the LTTE. Anandasangare, who denies Selvakumaran's affiliation to the LTTE, has reportedly sent 2 letters to the Canada Border Services Agency in 2016 and 2023, expressing support for granting Canadian citizenship to Selvakumaran, whose application for citizenship was rejected on multiple occasions, citing his direct links to the LTTE. Anandasangare asserted that he has not forwarded similar letters since becoming a minister and added that his previous support was based on humanitarian grounds and aimed at preventing the separation of a family with a Canadian-born child. Prime Minister Carney, asked at a press conference yesterday about Anandasangare's intervention in the immigration case, said the minister has his confidence as he is being transparent about the details of the situation. Pivituru Helaurume leader Uday Gammampila urges the Bribery Commission to halt minor investigations and dedicate more resources to investigating the controversial release of over 300 cargo containers without customs inspection. Meanwhile, Minister Bimal Ratnayaka claimed that parliamentarians who have been making statements regarding the contents and whereabouts of the containers have been informed to provide that information to the CID and added that further investigations would follow based on that information.
Pivituru Helaurume leader Udaya Gammampila arrived at the Bribery Commission today to inquire about the progress of the investigations related to the complaint previously filed by the PHU regarding the release of nearly 320 containers without proper customs inspection.
The complaint was lodged with the Bribery Commission on the 2nd of June, but no progress has been made regarding the complaint. The Director General of Customs informed in writing that he acted in accordance with Minister Bimal Ratnayaka's directives. Since the Bribery Commission is hard at work trying to find thieves from the past, they seem to have forgotten to apprehend new thieves. If the Bribery Commission is short of officers, we urge them to temporarily halt investigations on unimportant complaints and investigate the release of the 323 containers. Minister Wasantha Samarasinghe is still at large, even though there are orders for his arrest issued by the Mount Lavinia court. Minister Bimal Ratnayaka is also still at large, even after 6 months of the unlawful release of containers. With all due respect, we would like to urge President Anura Dissanayaka to have Ministers Wasantha and Bimal arrested if he is to at least be on the same level as former President Ranil Wickremesinghe and Gotabaya Rajapaksa.
Meanwhile, Minister of Transport, Highways, Ports and Civil Aviation Bimal Ratnayaka engaged in a tour of inspection at the Railways Department's Chief Mechanical Engineer's office in Ratmalana this morning.
My statements are valid. That was the most important request made by leaders of the Catholic community of the country, the Cardinal, to all governments, not just our government. Gotabaya Rajapaksa transferred around 700 CID officers who were attached to the investigations on the Easter Sunday attacks. The easiest way to conceal a crime is by appointing investigating officers who are unable to find evidence instead of those who are capable of doing so. Gotabaya and Ranil did that with the intention of protecting murderers. The decision of the Committee of Investigation has been conveyed to the President. The President will take the necessary administrative measures on that. There are many parliamentarians who seem to be well versed on the damage caused by those containers. They have been informed to provide that information to the CID. Legal action and investigations will be initiated based on that information. Therefore, answers will be provided through both of these methods.
Manusat Derana, the social responsibility arm of the Derana Media Network, handed over 4 ultrasound scanners to the Ministry of Health yesterday, donated by KS Environmental Services in New York. The equipment was handed over to Deputy Minister of Health Dr. Hansaka Wijayamuni by representative of KS Environmental Services Priyamali Pereira and Executive Director of the Derana Media Network Madhava Madavala at the Derana headquarters. Manusat Derana previously donated 4 ultrasound scanners to the Castle Street Hospital for Women, Lady Ridgway Hospital for Children, the Medical Faculty of the Wayamba University and the Kuliapitiya Teaching Hospital. A newborn baby was found abandoned this morning in a paddy field located in the Singhapurapara area of Paragahadeniya Mavathagama. A local villager discovered the infant lying under a tree while passing through the field and immediately notified the Mavathagama police. Police officers arrived promptly at the scene. After initial assessment, the baby was taken by police and local residents to Mavathagama Hospital for medical care. A doctor at the hospital said the infant appeared to be 1 or 2 days old. Following preliminary examinations, the baby was transferred to the premature infant unit at Kurunagala Teaching Hospital for further treatment. Authorities have not yet identified the person or persons responsible for abandoning the infant.
Arpico Next Gen. Make the leap to faster sleep.
Welcome back. The Colombo Stock Exchange closed in negative territory today as a result of price losses in counters such as John Keells Holdings, Commercial Bank and Melster Corp. The ASPI lost 0.04% to close at 18,876.85. Meanwhile, the more liquid S&P Sri Lanka 20 decreased by 0.69% to close at 5,628.93. Market turnover crossed 6 billion rupees. Foreign participation in market activity remained at subdued levels, with foreign investors closing as net sellers, offloading shares worth 285 million rupees. With that, here's a look at the day's foreign exchange rates. That's all for tonight from First at 9. Thank you for joining. Have a great night.